To what extent should we worry about the spiritual realm?
Okay. I think I can give a short answer to this, and then maybe we can work together on elucidating that into a long answer. Short answer is as much as the Word of God gives us. That's how much we should be concerned about it. And here's why. In Second Peter, early on, he says, His divine power, that's God's power, has given to us all things that pertain to life and godliness, through the knowledge of Him who calls us to His own glory and excellence. A big way of saying, in knowing Jesus and the knowledge you have through the Scriptures, you've got everything you need to live a holy life. So a Christian's got all they need right there in the Scriptures to live a holy life. Then in 2 Timothy, and with that really famous verse, the all Scripture is breathed out by God, 2 Timothy 3:16, he says that it's all breathed by God, all Scripture is breathed by God, and it's useful, and he lists a number of things, for teaching, rebuking, correcting, so that the man of God can be thoroughly equipped. And the man of God in that situation is people like me and you, who are equipping and preparing people to live the Christian life. So they have in the Scriptures everything they need to live a holy life, and we have in the Scriptures everything we need to shepherd them into and through a holy life. Which means if you're going to handle whatever is out there in the spiritual realm and however much it interacts with our world, the Word of God has given you everything you need to handle that well. So if it's not taught to us in the Word of God, we don't need to know it to live the Christian life well. So that is so freeing, because that means you don't have to know whether your HVAC system breaking down last week was demonic activity or whether it was just wear and tear and things that happen. Because unless the Word of God gives you a really good and clear answer to that, whatever you need to do about that is given to you in the Scriptures. So I guess what we need to ask is, just generally speaking, how much does the Word of God give us about the spiritual realm? Just to kind of give people a general, okay, here's how we look at that mysterious, we don't know about it world out there. What does the Word of God say?
Yeah, I think a lot of different things, which I'll need your help pulling out all of them. But I think the one of the clearest things I think about is temptations to sin.
Yeah.
That I can't remember exactly where it's at, but that the describes Satan as a prowling lion looking for someone to devour.
Yeah, it's First or Second Peter. Yeah.
That sounds right. And in that way, it seems to be he's looking for ways to trip us up in sin.
Yeah.
I don't think that necessarily takes away from our responsibility to not sin, but he's seen as somebody who's looking to, destroy us in any way possible. And I think the biggest way is have us sin against God. And really deserve his punishment, right? Deserve his judgment, which is really the worst thing that could happen to us.
Yeah.
Even worse than something physical maybe that would happen to us right now.
That's a big one.
What else? I mean,
temptation. So that's certainly one. Yeah, he's trying to tempt us. And when he does that, he's working with, there are sinful desires in our own heart. And so he's coming externally and trying to play to those, and the two interact. Maybe following up that he one of his names is the accuser. And so when he does successfully tempt us, then he likes to turn on us and throw accusations at us. Or even at times when we have not sinned, likes to just hurl accusations into our hearts. And that will cause us then to doubt God's promises, doubt God's forgiveness of us. So the answer to that is faith in the promises of God.
Think of another, you mentioned the HVAC system going down. I assume you kind of mentioned it as kind of like maybe probably not kind of thing, but that he is active in the real world, like what he does, who he influences can actually like make things happen.
Yeah.
Would that be, largely from the some of the New Testament calling him the kind of ruler of this world, this present time? If that's the phrase it uses or not. But
Yeah.
he exercises some sort of control over what happens.
Yeah, we get that in Job too.
Right.
Job goes to the Lord and asks, like, let me do this to him, and under God's sovereignty gets a yes or a no. So he is. So we could probably say he's involved in most or all of that stuff under God's sovereign hand that allows those trials to come upon us. And then some of the verses you appealed to there speak of his role in even global politics and in the direction the world goes, the shifts and the turns of culture. Yeah. What does he call him? The prince of the powers of the air, the spirit that is at work in the sons of disobedience. So those cultural trends, those political trends, a lot of the news that we read, he's kind of behind it, pulling the strings.
Would an example of Satan, I think in one of either Samuel or Chronicles, or maybe it's Kings or Chronicles. No, it'd be Samuel or Chronicles. Yeah. That it mentions either about Saul. I guess it would be Kings for Ahab, but like when a spirit was sent, or I think, does it ever there say like Satan himself was sent, or at least says an evil spirit was sent to torment or to like get him to do something he shouldn't have done. Yeah. To entice him. Would that be like an example of Satan, like God even then giving, kind of like Job, God giving Satan some sort of control over the situation, over at least influencing rulers.
I think so.
But okay.
Yeah, and it seems like Satan's big goal is to create an environment, what we would call the world, where sin is encouraged and where the spread of the gospel is slowed or delayed. And so that's why he's bending so many world leaders against the gospel, causing them to persecute the gospel. That's why, pop music seems to go from this illicit trend to that illicit trend. And it's always tempting us one way or the other. Politics does that back and forth too. He's behind that, under God's sovereignty, but he's behind that, pulling those strings. Yeah.
Is there anything else?
Well,
scripture-wise?
That's all I can think of currently, but then there's the answer, Ephesians 6.
Right.
What we have to do is put on the full armor of God, which is God's truth and God's promises, trusting in those, believing in those. And that for us is like a helmet. It's a sword. It's a shield. That's what we need to prepare us to fight that battle. Right. And the battle would be guarding yourself against sin and advancing the gospel into the world.
And something that strikes me in that passage too is a lot of prayer.
Yeah.
I guess in the what you're going to do in the battle, I guess, seems to be saying, pray.
Yeah.
Talk to God, go to God, depend on God, in all those circumstances. So that temptation, accusation.
Yeah. All of them. Yeah.
World
politics,
disaster,
disasters.
Going to prayer, which seems opposite of the regular war talk, not picking up a gun or anything.
Right. Yeah. If anything, you're just picking up a Bible. Praying. Yeah.
So I was going to ask, practically, when something happens, whether in a personal life or in the world around us, how much do you, in your thinking, attribute that to either Satan or like the spiritual world? Like, looking at news, you see something tragic has happened. Like, how much of that of your response is something spiritual is going on?
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
Well, always big picture when it's bad. Yeah, I mean, all these things were brought into the world through Satan's temptation and deception of Eve, and then Adam, and death and sin came into the world through that. So at the very least, we can look at, carnage on the news or awful things like that and say, an enemy has done this. Jesus is coming and he will crush the head of the serpent, and we won't forever see news reports like this. Then there beyond that, I feel like there's an element of mystery. Okay, how involved was he directly in that? How involved was this demon or that demon, or how many are there? It gets mysterious after that, but even in the mystery, we can put our hope in God and wait for the return of Christ. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I feel like it's an area where you can probably see it out the window. The house right next to us it's October right now, has all these decorations of ghosts and ghouls, and in neighborhoods like this, that's happening all the time in October.
Roscoe's Tacos has a weird looking ghost outside.
Yeah. Spirit Halloweens pop up everywhere, and people are buying all these decorations, showing that people are interested in this stuff, even though the world feels like it's getting more and more secular.
Yeah.
The more that happens, the more interested people are in like what's really going on there.
Yeah.
And the Bible doesn't give us like everything. I think we'd misuse it if it did, but it gives us the best and clearest answers that there really is an unseen realm out there. It's real, and the Lord really is sovereign over it. And the one who's sovereign over all of it calls us into a real relationship with him where he will guard us and protect us. Such good news for someone who's just even curious about ghosts and wants to decorate their yard with one or something. Like we have real truth to offer.
Yeah. I feel like in reading missionary stories, it seems like in whether Africa, in the or in the East versus the West, I guess, that this conversation is usually much higher on the list of things you have to teach and to talk about, because their culture and just everyday life is so much more in their minds, at least, governed by the spiritual world, and in reality, it's probably more true for our world than we realize. So we probably should talk about it more than we do. And so in this case, I'm glad to have the question.
Glad somebody asked.
And to be able, and helps me, because that's for me the question. Whenever I watch the news or see something, it takes me maybe that day. I'll think, oh yeah, there was maybe something spiritual going on. But usually it's not that day, and it's after some mulling. I'm like, oh yeah, Bible does say that Satan is out there, and there's other spiritual forces out there that are working for him, and then apply it to that. And so, area to grow, I guess.
Yes. So good job, whoever asked. Good question. All right. Next time we're going to look at a specific application of this, the story of the witch of Endor, where Samuel appears to at least come back up from the dead for a little bit. So looking forward to that.